There is major interest in a released WWE star. We've got an update on AEW World Title plans and a little bit of an update on CM Punk and his potential WWE deal, so stay tuned. So it's been almost a week since Matt Riddle was released by WWE. We saw a lot of releases a little over a week ago. We got a bit of an update on Matt Riddle following his WWE release. Obviously, right now, he's still under the 90-day no-compete clause, so don't expect to see him anytime soon, but you might not have to wait too long because lots and lots of places want him, according to the Wrestling Observer newsletter.
Yeah, so as Adam said there, Wrestling Observer newsletter says, since the word last week of his being let go, there has been interest by a number of companies in both pro wrestling and MMA. Most pro wrestling companies of any size immediately expressed interest, and in MMA, both PFL and bare knuckle fighting had expressed interest due to his name value from WWE and the fact he was a decent MMA fighter. Riddle hasn't fought in 9 years, and he's now 37, and real fighting is not a sport it would be wise to go back into unless it's a big money offer. We've also seen CM Punk that getting exposed in real fighting does not hurt someone when returning to pro wrestling, as fans see them as different worlds, essentially.
Punk still gets loads of beef on Twitter, doesn't he? People cracking jokes.
Yeah.
He was the one getting paid for it. Fair play to him, right? So the thing about Riddle is, like, I really did think that he was going to be a massive deal, but it's clear that backstage personal issues, I think, have got in the way of that. Maybe there's a level of maturity that isn't quite there yet with Riddle. It doesn't surprise me that people want him, right? Former US champion, former tag champion. He did a lot in WWE. They made a really big deal of him. I honestly thought he was going to be their next big babyface guy. I saw him as a world title contender, if not a champion, because I thought he was so marketable to younger people, especially. I couldn't believe when I read he was 37. I thought he was early 30s. Why does he look so young? He literally looks about... Is that what it is?
You probably, I don't know.
Well, I do loads of that. I'm always token doobies.
You look so young.
I know.
No, like it felt like Riddle had a lot going for him in terms of his future in WWE for a while. Obviously, with the stuff with Randy, it felt like he was going to be pushed far. And then sort of like the rumblings of, when Randy comes back, maybe we'll have a big program involving them two as well, doing something, which is obviously going to elevate him even further, right? If he does something like that with Randy. But unfortunately, the personal things seem to have got in the way, and
I always thought they probably put him with Randy to maybe sort of level him out, get him a bit more mature, because Randy went through a really similar thing, right? He's thrust into the spotlight. He was young, he was immature, he made foolish decisions. I always felt that maybe Riddle was doing the same thing. It's like, sticking with Randy because Randy's been through that. Maybe it's not helped in the way that they thought it would. I think it's I think we'll see him pop up very soon somewhere, but I don't expect, like AEW, for example, I don't expect them to come a knocking. Just because I think from what we've read at least, he's got a bit of a reputation as backstage somebody who might be a little bit awkward to work with.
It's difficult though, isn't it?
Thing.
I was going to say, like, in comparison to CM Punk, but obviously the level of, the celebrity there and money as well. I don't think it's fair to compare the two.
There's name value in Riddle.
Yes.
I don't know where he would go. Maybe do something with New Japan. Probably not on a long-term deal. Impact, mate. I don't know. We'll see. We got a bit of an update. He was described as a liability, wasn't he, Matt Riddle? Right.
Yeah.
Previously, we got an update on some of that heat with WWE management, and it's stemming back from a certain Raw is War promo. With Meltzer saying Riddle had heat with management at one point after the previous incident for going off the script and putting over Orton on a live television interview when talking about how much pain Orton was in during the later stages of their team before the injury angle was shot. So I remember this promo. I remember it being a really good, really real feeling promo.
Yep.
It was live, pal, but he did it appears that he went off script with it. So he was praised for the promo, but it wasn't what was scripted for him. And essentially, I guess, like, he came up with his own creative there, didn't he?
Well, it's not business for himself, bro.
It's not the biggest deal, but it's like, I guess he wasn't telling the story that they wanted to tell. It's not like a massive thing, but it's the sort of thing that would rub people up the wrong way, obviously.
Of course.
And maybe cause management to lose trust in Riddle for doing something like that. You've got to fully trust people, not just in the ring but on the mic as well. And maybe he broke that trust.
Show a little bit of professionalism, I guess. Right?
Yeah, for sure. Moving on, another released WWE star, one that came as a bit of a shock because he had a big old match coming up.
Yeah.
Was Mr. Ali. And apparently this was a last-minute decision. Observer again, regarding Ali being on television and pushing him for a match with Dominic Mysterio and then cutting him, it was said that there were names on the bubble and names that were going to be cut. He was in the former category, but the decision was made late to cut him. So it was a last-minute decision. He was in the bubble. It was a maybe not. What are we doing with him? Well, he's got loads of creative laid out for him, and he said, and they just get rid of him. I think he's going to have a very successful career elsewhere.
I think he is as well. I wonder if he sort of does something in terms of like not necessarily staying in one place to begin with, but kind of like appears on all these different, appears on a GCW, appears on an Impact, and then an AEW kind of thing, like. Because it feels like he's got so much, he does have so much potential, but also he's like so creative as well and always wanting to reinvent himself and stuff. And I feel like he's got so much to give to so many different places. I'm sure there's a multitude of talent that he'll want to work with as well in all different areas. You know?
I think it's a really good shout. I think that's something that he could definitely do rather than just signing with one place. Go and do the Cody thing, the Drew thing, go everywhere and prove that you are that damn good.
Yeah. And
then get hired back for loads of money. In 5 years' time. He is very good. He's a creative guy. He's great promo. He makes you feel something, doesn't he? There's something about Ali. I really like him. Moving forward, AEW time. We've got sort of an update on the plans for MJF versus Jay White. So this was teased on the go home for Wrestle Dream, right?
Yeah.
MJF, Jay White, AEW World Title. It's not been announced yet.
No.
And I don't think it's going to be at this point. The pay-per-view's on Sunday.
Yep.
I mean, they might do it at the weekend.
He's got a match. He's got a match at the moment. MJF's defending the Ring of Honor tag team titles on his own against the Righteous. So it would be, I guess, a weird one. It's a weird one if he did defend it, but then at the same time, it's also quite weird because he's not defended it for counting this pay-per-view coming up. I think the last two pay-per-views as well.
Weird,
the AEW World Title,
Yeah. He's no stranger to double duty. He could do something. He could do something. Anyway, the report here, they spent a long time building it on the go home, which is just weird to build a world title match before the pay-per-view that isn't on the pay-per-view. It's likely going to be either on the 10th of the 10th, Tuesday Dynamite, or Full Gear. I think probably Full Gear.
I think Full Gear as well. Although I don't know if it's necessarily weird that it was being built up because then it led to the angle of that fella in the MJF mask beating up Jay White. And that can easily just like help build to something further down the line rather than kind of jumping the gun and doing it now.
It has to go home though, isn't it? It's not traditional, but you're right. It'll play into it. Wrestle Dream's looking really good.
Yes, it is. And it might even play into it somewhere within Wrestle Dream as well. So
who knows?
Yeah.
We are finishing off with a little bit of CM Punk news. No deal has been agreed at present. Observer again, he would love to get CM Punk in NXT. Shawn Michaels saying he'd love to get CM Punk in NXT, but didn't think it was going to happen. Meltzer says it's pretty certain if Punk is coming as of today, even though there's no deal done, although he's been hearing rumors of the opposite, but it's up to Vince McMahon, that it wouldn't be on NXT unless it's a deal with Lynch, and that probably wouldn't be done right away. So no deal.
No,
at present.
Yeah.
Although rumblings.
Yep.
All the time, it's CM Punk, and it doesn't look like Shawn Michaels will get his wish and get. Well, it would be mental, wouldn't it?
It'd be mental, but me and Tom were talking about it on the news today, and I think sort of in a similar situation as to when Punk joined AEW and was like, I would love to work with the younger talent, like do matches with them and hopefully put them over and stuff. You've got your Dragunovs, you've got your Carmelo Hayes, Dragon Lee. Among other Bron Breakker, among other really talented young people there too. And to see them have matches with CM Punk, I wouldn't be opposed to it, but I also wouldn't see it maybe come into fruition like the first thing that Punk does if he does go back to WWE. Obviously.
Go back to NXT. Yeah. I reckon it's going to happen at this point. I didn't think my mind's changed from a few weeks ago. I'd be well up for Punk versus Hayes.
I'd be up for that.
Punk chokes him out backstage.
Part of me is like, I was thinking about this. I'm putting my my fantasy booking hat on here. I feel like with all the stuff that's happening with the Bloodline at the moment, and you've got and you've got Paul Heyman on the telephone being like, "Oh, I don't know about this. Maybe Paul's like I got to just cut this bloodline stuff off because it's not really working now. Hello,
no.
Mr. Phillip Brooks. Would you like to come back to WWE, please?
If there's one place I don't want to see CM Punk, it's involved in the bloodline stuff. Get him as far away from that as possible.
Maybe that's the thing that then cuts it off.
What, just leave it to Roman and Solo and
just
Jimmy?
Leave Roman on his own. Eventually, maybe I don't know.
I don't want Punk involved in that story.
No.
It's a nice idea.
Yeah,
I've just shot it down.
You shot it down.
Make up your own minds. It's okay. That's it for today's news. I would strongly recommend going back 2 hours, checking out that news video.
Yes.
Don't want to spoil anything. There's some major news for one of the best people in all of our lives, not just at work.
No,
he's a lovely man. He was on that news video. It's not the bloke with the dyed hair. It's the
other one.
Yeah, the other one. Just go and watch it, Tom. It's about Tom.
It's about
Big
Tom.
news involving Tom. Positive news involving Tom. Go and check it out. I don't want to ruin anything. Have a good weekend, everybody. Take care of yourselves. Live for reactions, Fraser and Tom as well for Wrestle Dream on Sunday night. So let's check that out. What happened at all the usual fun of the fair. Take care. I'm rambling. Bye. Should I have an envelope or something?
All right.
We need some big news. Give us some big news, quick. Punk's been signed.
Happy
He's not.
birthday.
Bye.
Bye.